When I was younger, didn't make enough money. I had a lot of tickets for driving my license revoked. I had tickets for driving my no insurance. I had tickets for failure to pay the fines, which caused my license to be revoked. So that was kind of my initial entrance into it. And then I've had a criminal charge that further thrust me into the system. It probably was about $300 is what I needed to pay. Once it went into suspension, there was another fee on top of that. So that cost more. I would say total just to get my driver's license straight, I probably paid close to $1,000 just to get my driver's license straight. And we probably paid close to $2,000 to get my husband's driver's license straight. There were years we didn't get any tax refund. We used it to pay off fines.
Wow. Somewhere around the aptitude of 3,000, something like that. And it took me 7 tax years.
They took money that was on my person at the time. It was about $940 because they was trying to say that it was associated with the drugs. When I got into court, however, it ended up being proven that the money was legal, and so the court ruled that the police department was supposed to give me the $940 back. 2 days after that ruling, I got a letter to my house from the state, and apparently it was a drug tax. They were imposing a tax on me based upon the amount of money that I supposedly would have made by selling the supposed drugs.
Just like you have to find out if they need a court-appointed attorney and what their costs and what, I think that same consideration should go into fines and fees. I think that there was an opportunity. I could have done community service. There should have been something that I could have done other than money. When you know I'm getting all these services from social services, I'm already below the poverty level. Okay, there should be another option.
There were times where I had to go without things such as eating. There were times I had to miss a meal, and it sounds like it's not that big of a deal, but when you're so stressed out from being pregnant and having to deal with a disabled mother and no support system, and it's like, do I pay the traffic ticket or do I get food for myself, because shoot, I have to eat and my child has to eat too. So there were times where I just didn't pay a light bill, because then after I had to take the money from my light bill, the next month my light bill was like $200 to $300, and I had to come up with that money because $200 went to having to pay the traffic ticket.
Actually, prison was easier because one of the things that the court tells you when you're convicted is we need you to be productive. So what I chose to do was go to school full time. Well, then that means I wasn't working. That means I didn't have income.
I had to not pay my rent to pay court debts, and then deal with begging my landlord for an extension. I've had court papers filed for me before for eviction as a result of trying to choose the lesser of two evils. I needed my license, I needed a place to stay, but the mindset was at least I could stay in my car.
The fees were always sort of that, I felt like that was that noose hanging over my head at all times, because at any given time, especially with the probation officer I had, she was very difficult. She took me back to court 4 times, and each time they tried to reincarcerate me because they said that I hadn't paid my fees and my fine.
I had a car that wouldn't pass a check engine light, and I just couldn't afford to get rid of it. It was my only means of transportation. So like year after year, I kept getting stopped because of that. And I finally eventually sold the car. I would say I think it took me 2 years to pay that debt off. It took me 2 years to pay the debt off. That's how I ended up getting the second charge, because I was still trying to pay off what I could.
I've had extended probation terms. I've had days that I had to go to jail, weekends to pay that debt. I had to sit and be under someone that didn't really want me to succeed. far as probation officers.
It's really stemmed from a seatbelt ticket that I had, and it just escalated from there. The fines and the fees eventually got it just got too much to pay. So my license continued to be suspended. I would pay, but then I wouldn't be able to pay the restoration fee at the DMV, so then they would become suspended again. So it was just a vicious cycle over and over.
Now you look for other means to get money. So what are your other means? Do you go back to doing the things that you wouldn't want to do to put you behind bars? Do you go back and put your family and yourself at risk to maybe smuggling drugs or doing something for something that you would not want to do? But what are you going to do?
I was just talking to someone the other day, and they were like, it's like the fines and fees sometimes push you to do things that you don't have to do and don't want to do. So I went back to selling drugs.
Today I lived off payday loans. It just put me in further debt. So it's ludicrous. So you want me to work, but you won't hire me because I have to check the box and say I'm previously incarcerated, which means that I'm a convicted felon. That box is there. Some of the boxes are wide and broad. Some of the boxes just have a box that says, have you ever been convicted? So not in the last 5 years, not in the last 3 years. It shouldn't be there, period.
6 years. At least 6 years not being able to find employment anywhere. Raleigh, Durham, Greensboro, Morrisville, Chapel Hill. I put in applications, you feel me, in a lot of different locations over them 6 years, you know what I'm saying? And by the way, I also should mention that at the time that those charges, they actually prevented me. I was in the final stages of the hiring process for a place that was about to start me off at like $14.50, you feel me, an hour. And I got to the final stages, but then those charges popped up, and then so I was denied. You feel me? That job at the time, you feel me? When I just lost my part-time job too. So yeah, it cost me a lot, the whole situation, definitely.
My first big deal is I want to be employed. I'm a workaholic, and I couldn't get the jobs. I couldn't get the interviews. I couldn't get the sponsorships that other people get without the malicious past. But I believe in the Word of God. I believe that He's so good to us that He give us a new slate, but the system ain't like that.
I began to realize there's this criminalization if you're poor. It's not necessarily about right or wrong or this or that. I mean, if I had plenty of money, I would have gladly paid the fees. But I was being punished by a system for simply not having enough money. I mean, I was on Section 8. I was living in public housing with my children, and I was being punished for that. At the time, being a college student as well, trying to further my education. So I learned quickly that it was just, if you didn't have money, you were in trouble with the system.
I really feel like the court system is just criminalizing the poor. They're just saying, oh, you can't pay this, well, we're going to impose another fee until you can pay it. And I think that something should be done so that people who, like myself and people that I know, something should be done so that they don't have to sacrifice the way I did to have to make that decision whether or not to go without a meal or go without paying a light bill or having to pay $300 in court fines. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
If you don't have money, which is the foundation that we kind of make ourselves propel to the next stages in life, you don't have that, something, I don't care whatever it is, if it's a high gas bill, it can take you under. And I just wish that Miss Sir would have some type of compassion on the rehabilitation cycle.
I would like to say that to the courts, you really are not helping us. You're holding people back. You're not giving them a place to stand. You're not giving them an opportunity to tap into who they really are. A lot of people come home and they want to pursue the criminal justice side and become entrepreneurs because of all of the turmoil that comes with trying to get a job, checking the box. So the courts just really need to know that if you give us an opportunity, we really want to return and be successful, productive leaders back into our society, but you're not giving us a place to stand. You're not giving us an opportunity to do that. Every door that we go through, when it's dealing with the courts and those fines, you're closing those doors right in our face.